Hey everybody, my name is King Quad. Hope having an amazing day today. Now today we're here with some more Multiversus tier list making, and today we're doing it for the 2v2 system in Multiversus as it stands right now. Currently it is the 5th of August, so it is only a couple of days before they implement changes to bounces, nerfs, and buffs, which is likely going to be on the 8th of August, which is when preseason ends as well. And finally, today is Evo Day, so happy Evo Day. It's going on today and tomorrow. Highly recommend it. There is, I think, $100,000 cash cup for Multiversus 2v2s, so if you guys want to tune in, I believe it's on Twitch everywhere. A lot of people are talking about it, you know. So I'm doing this as it stands right now. Honestly, I feel like there's a couple of people who all have different opinions. Obviously, everyone's gonna have a different tier list, but at the end of the day, you might view one character different than I do, and that's completely fine. Everyone has their own experiences. I'm doing this off of what I've experienced, what I've seen, and your opinion's probably going to be different. That's completely fine, as long as you come to me respectfully in the comments to let me know you have a disagreement. I'll probably even hear you out. I might even agree with you. You know, let's get straight into this tier list. I'm going into this as unbiased as I can, and I am the rank 95 Garnet main, so I have some experience in 1v1s especially, but transitioning over to 2v2s, I played a lot of 2v2s in closed beta, and as it stands right now, for the past couple of days I've been grinding non-stop for 2v2s, so I'll give you guys my opinion on what I think. Now, I don't necessarily think that any of these, like any of the S tier, they probably won't be in order. Just because someone's over here, I'm probably not going to do it, you know, best to worst in their class, depending on their tier. I'm just going to do it straight off the bat. Whoever comes to mind, I'll think of and implement them there, transition them accordingly. I'll get to it, you know, just bear with me. I think in S tier, the first person that really comes to mind, and this is probably going to shock a couple people, Velma. I feel like Velma deserves to be an S tier. She's insanely good in a lot of different categories. She is meant for support. It makes sense that she's higher in 2v2s. And overall, I definitely just feel like she deserves to be up in the tiers. I feel like a lot of people don't really play her, but the ones that I've seen play her, she is great for harassing, especially. The fact that she has her cop car that could literally just carry people off the ledge. She has a lot of punishes with her text bubbles where she could just spam people off of, you know, the screen with it. She's really good for end stock punishing, I guess you could say, you know, when someone's in the higher percent damages, when they're really closer to dying. She's great for harassing to the point where you literally guarantee a stock. It's really good for 2v2s from what I've seen. She's really great. She's good as support character. She's meant to be support, so it makes sense she's higher in the tiers. I definitely think she deserves to be up there. Next in S tier, I'm probably going to be giving it to Finn. Now, Finn's pretty good in 1v1s as it stands right now as well. He's good for self-sustaining. He's good for damage, harassment, area control, all of that good stuff, right? I definitely think he transitions over into 2v2s as well, just because a lot of his harassment abilities essentially are the same. His backpack in the air, his dash move on the ground, his inventory system's really good, makes him very powerful. Overall, I just feel like he deserves to be up there. He's one of the people who can actually self-sustain in 1v1s and in 2v2s just because of his damage output as well as his harassment combos. He's pretty good. I consider them somewhere in S tier, probably in the lower part of S tier, not necessarily the higher part, but I definitely think he's going to shine a lot in 2v2s as well as in 1v1s. That's just how it is. Continuing on, I definitely think I'm going to give it to Bugs Bunny, just because he's another person exactly very similar to Finn, where they can self-sustain in 1v1s very good, but they're also going to be able to harass in 2v2s, right? His rockets fly across the map. They are super good for harassing. I mean, he has a lot of area control. He has the safe that he can crack down. A lot of his area moves and his aerial attacks, his assists, his combos, everything in the air, I think Bugs Bunny overall just dominates with, right? A lot of his attacks have a super wide range of attack and effect. I just overall feel like he's up there, right? He's great for harassing. He's great for punishing. He's great for aerial control. I think he deserves to be up there. If you're paired up with him on your team, chances are you're probably going to have a good time. Now, you know, ending off S tier. I feel like everyone's going to hate me regardless of what I choose. I think at the end of S tier, we're going to give it to Superman. I hate Superman. I probably hate Superman more than y'all do. He's horrible to go against. He really is. I hate everything about him. I hate his area control. I hate his attacks on the ground, his lunges, his flying move, his recovery, the fact that he can grab you from one side of the screen and fly over to the other side, grab you, throw you off the ledge, and then just spam moves and essentially get you out of there. His uppercut move is extremely well. He has a lot of tracking moves that are great for lunging up and down, left and right. Overall, he's pretty well rounded, and it sucks to say, right, his armor does make a huge difference. His armor constantly has it, right? He's Kryptonian, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's comic book accurate, blah, 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 right? regardless of what people say and whatever the reason may be, he is pretty overpowered. I definitely think he actually needs a nerf. His armor is insanely good. His grabs are super annoying. They always fight super cocky, right? His elbow charge onto the ground where he strikes down with his elbow. I think it's, you know, very good for area control. It actually does have an AoE effect to it on certain parts of his sides. It does extend further than his elbow drops, so it does go out a little bit. It's going to be pretty good, right? Overall, I definitely think that he deserves to be up there in the S tier. And I keep on forgetting to add him in here, but I'm definitely going to put LeBron up in the very end of S tier, right? I keep forgetting to put him in these tier lists. I think he deserves to be S tier, right? He's good for area control. He's good for punishing. He's good for area attacks, and projectiles are unmatched. I definitely think he deserves to be up there. I think you could also make the argument that he's probably top of A tier, top of S tier. I just think they did a really good job with his entire kit. I feel like it transitioned really good. A lot of his punishes, like his wave attack, his slam dunk that turns into a wave when it hits the ground, I think he's definitely good for a lot of on the ground harassing, and his projectiles are just insanely good. Definitely would put him either bottom of S tier or top of A tier. Now, continuing on our actual defined characters, I would say that the top of A tier is probably going to go to Raindog. I love Raindog. Raindog's adorable. He's cute. In 2v2s, he shines extremely well. When I think of support, I think of Raindog. Raindog does a great well of shielding his, you know, his allies, but he also has projectiles that are good for area control and harassing. He has that one fireball that's super good. He has, if he uses the perk that allows his crystal to track him wherever it goes, he's great for harassing. He's fairly tanky, so he's not going to take as much damage as someone would in the lower tiers. He does extremely well in 2v2 systems, right? I've seen a lot of better rain dogs as the days go by. I feel like the more days that go by, the more and more rain dogs people are just using. I love to see it. He is a pretty good person, right? Just very good. Happy that he shines. I put him at the top of A tier for a good reason. Continuing on, I definitely think it goes to Steven Universe. His shield, his bubble is insanely well for just sticking with someone, right? I've been watching the Steven Universe show first time ever for the past couple of days, and a lot of the moves that I see in the game, I mean, it's just exactly how they intended it in the show. He has one of the best, in my opinion, when it comes to just sticking with the source material. The way that he fights in the show essentially is being the shield for his teammates. Obviously he fights with the shield, but I just feel like it fits extremely well into the 2v2 meta. The way he uses his shield, he's not necessarily damage output, but he's good for, you know, damage negation, as well as just getting over to your teammate and creating that distance. He does a great job with his bubble. His shield's pretty good. His watermelon Stevens are great for harassing. He's not the best with projectiles or you know, mobility, but other than that, getting to your teammate and overall just helping them out, he does great with it. He's a great teammate, and I highly recommend people start using him more in the 2v2s at least. Continuing on, I'm definitely gonna have to give that to someone like Tom and Jerry. I think Tom and Jerry is just a good fighter overall. I don't think he's that good in 2v2s as he is in 1v1s, but he's still good, don't get me wrong. His projectiles, the fact that Tom and Jerry can, you know, volleyball each other over and over, it's great. The fact that he has that one perk that allows 3 sticks of dynamite to get launched off at once is great for early game damage. He's gonna be good for setups. He's not necessarily a end game person who you would use to like get the stocks necessarily. I feel like that would go to someone like Velma. But when it comes to early damage in a stock, I would definitely give it to someone like Tom and Jerry, right? I feel like overall, someone in the S tier like Velma is just going to be more well-rounded. And I feel like the end of a stock is more important than the beginning of a stock. But you cannot, you know, deny the fact that Tom and Jerry is great for the beginning, early damage, good for harassing. The sticks of dynamite do pretty good damage. They do knock up. Overall, I'm gonna give it to Tom and Jerry. Now, next, honestly, and I'm so happy the way that they actually made her in 2v2s, Garnet. I feel like so many people are going to disagree. People are going to have whatever they're going to say. Just hear me out real quick, right? Deal with it. She is great for damage. She's great for combos. She's great for getting in early projectiles, getting that distance closed. Her punishes are super great for actually getting stocks off. I mean, any single time that someone's in the, you know, 110s or 100s for damage, not even 120s, just 100s and 110s, she's going to be great for actually getting a stock off. I mean, her area attacks are insane. Her aerial combos are super good. I feel like a lot of her projectiles are going to be shining in the 2v2s. In 1v1s, I would place her even like B tier. just because, you know, I feel like she kind of struggles in 1v1s. But in 2v2s, when it comes to helping out a teammate, the fact that she can put down her star sign and someone else can pick it up and she can fly over to them in an instant. If someone's getting harassed, like let's say I put down my star and I run away from it, my teammate runs over and instantly picks it up. If they're getting harassed, I will fly over from across the map and get that person off of them, deal damage, and throw them away on the other side of the map. She's extremely well for support, and I would honestly even make the argument that she should be A tier, but I don't want to come off as biased, so I will put her in A tier at the end. I just feel like she's great. Whenever she does her singing, she will stack over armor piercing. She does really good in giving her supports an extra boost if they need it, especially the people who aren't as good as damage. I feel like, you know what? No. I'm going to put her at, you know, closest to the top of A tier. I feel like she's great. I just feel like she's an excellent support character. I feel like she does great in giving people buffs, in aiding people when they need it, giving projectile harassment, ending, starting off, you know, giving damage. I feel like obviously her attack hitboxes are still small. That's kind of why she falls off in 1v1s, and it's the same exact way in 2v2s. But I would still definitely give it up to her, you know. She's great. She's a great, reliable person. Every time that I play Garnet, it is extremely difficult for me to lose a 2v2. And the only time that really happens is if my teammate gets 3 deaths in a row, getting super harassed, someone super squishy. I just feel like, you know, when it comes to 2v2 support, this is who you should strive to be. Now, when it comes into the B tier, I'm going to have to honestly give it to Jake. And I honestly feel like he's probably a little low. You could make the argument that he should be in the back of A tier. You know, I'll debate with myself as whether I feel like he should be B or A tier. But he's pretty good. He's good for harassments. I feel like a lot of his ground control is extremely good. It's super good for 2v2s just because if someone's up in the air, Jake runs over, whether he's using his horse move or whether he's using his upward strike move with his mallet or his battle axe that he summons from his hand. I feel like he's just extremely well in harassing. He's good for area control, although he's a hand-to-hand brawler. He's good for getting across the map super quickly with his mobility moves and just punishing off the bat, right? I feel like he's super good with that. It's extremely well. It shines a lot. I feel like it's super good on a team, and I don't necessarily think that he's going to be super dominant in the meta anytime soon, just because anytime that he's dealing damage, you're not going to expect a lot. You're not going to expect so much damage. His kickflip is good in 1v1s, but in 2v2s, it's super easy to dodge just because we're focusing on 2 different people. And majority of the time, they're not going to be as sweaty in 2v2s as 1v1s. So I'm going to have to give him to the top of B tier. Regardless, he is still pretty good. Moving on, I definitely feel like I'm going to have to give it to Iron Giant. Iron Giant is pretty good. I know a lot of people were going crazy saying that he should be A tier minimum or even S tier in 1v1s just because of a lot of his harassing. Now, someone who plays Garnet, I have maybe, you know, on 3 separate occasions have struggled against an Iron Giant. Garnet is extremely well in combating Iron Giants. I mean, projectiles, the combos, the knockback, getting him off the ledge, spiking him down. It is extremely easy with someone like Garnet. However, I can understand why literally anyone else on this tier list, majority of them are going to struggle against people like Iron Giant just because of his huge area control. He has a great, outstanding aura that kind of surrounds him. You know, when he pulls up his metal shield, it is instantly unbreakable. It's essentially one of the biggest harassing moves in this game. I just feel like if you know how to combat an Iron Giant, I mean, in 2v2s, it's not going to be any different as it is in a 1v1. His, you know, command grab, however, I feel like is super good for harassing. He literally picks someone up, throws them off the ledge, and then does his downward special, which is his dive bomb. I mean, it's great. You know, you can 0 to death with that. And although I feel like it is good in that regard, he is good in that regard, his hitbox is too big to ignore. I mean, I just feel like you can't put him in A tier or anything above that just because he falls off if you know how to combat that. And if you've played this game for more than, like, you know, a week, I would say if you play enough Iron Giants, it gets to the point where you understand how to combat them. I feel like they're going to change a lot about his kit soon just because I feel like, you know, in 2v2s and 1v1s, if you're not, you know, abusing the command grab, if you're not abusing the dive bomb or the car break even, you know, it's not necessarily the best, but his shield is probably the best thing in his kit because it's just so impossible to break through it. Other than that, if you know how to combat those things, I mean, you're just going to super dominate against any Iron Giant. So I don't think he's going to be high up there, but I definitely think he can self-sustain to an extent. Continuing on, I'm going to give it to Wonder Woman. I feel like she's just a lesser version of Steven Universe. In 2v2s at least, I know in 1v1s she's way better than him. But in 2v2s, I really think it comes down to support. And, I mean, her lasso and her shield are the only two things that I would necessarily say are a struggle. Anything other than that, her ledge punishing is not the best. Her, ledge guarding is not good. Her areas and her aerial isn't the best. I just feel like overall she's not going to be that great in it. I would definitely say that the next person, Arya, is probably going to be in like higher B tier. Totally forgot about her. You have to excuse me, but she's pretty good. You know, she's not the best. Her skill ceiling is extremely well. Me personally, I've never seen anyone that was super crazy to where they're going to carry 2v2s with Arya. But she's definitely good, right? She's been getting a lot better. I feel like the people who use her, the pros, are super good with her. The rank 1 Arya, super good, you know, insanely well with her. But on the average, from what I've seen from normal player Aryas, people who aren't pros, they're going to kind of struggle with her. You know, I'd make the argument that Iron Giant's a little better than her. That's final. I'll stop changing that around. I just feel like she's not good for 2v2s in the regard that she's super squishy. She doesn't have a lot of defending. She can't really help out the teammates a lot. Other than that, though, I mean, just because how good she is in the high skill ceilings, I definitely think she's going to be able to self-sustain in 2v2s just a little better. Continuing on to C tier, I'm going to have to give that to Shaggy, right? I feel like Shaggy is good as well. I just feel like he's kind of super dominant in 1v1s when you're focused on him. But in 2v2s, I mean, he's just going to be flying around the map. He doesn't have a lot to get down onto the ground and to really just, you know, take control of an area like he can in 1v1s. In 2v2s, I just feel like he's not really there. He doesn't really offer much other than his sandwiches. But even then, you know, it's projectile. If you're using someone like Garnet, someone like Steven, someone like Wonder Woman, Superman, anyone who can block any of those projectiles, you know, is going to have a bad time. People like Iron Giant even, I just feel like they're not really going to struggle against Shaggy. He's great in 1v1s. I would reckon that he's either top of A tier or bottom of S tier in 1v1s because he's a super good character. But in 2v2s, I just feel like his kit's not there to necessarily support his teammates, deal damage. And that's fine. You know, you don't have to deal that in 2v2s. He's all right. You're not going to do super bad with him. But I don't think he's going to be one of the better choices. Next in C tier, I'm going to have to give that to Harley Quinn. I just feel like the spot that she's in right now, she's good in 1v1s as well with her combos. She does pretty good in the air. But very similar to why she actually falls off in you know, bottom of S tier in 1v1s is the same way that she's going to be so incredibly ranked low in C tier. Just because in 2v2s, I mean, you're going to get harassed so much. You're going to get smacked around. I'd say she's probably the squishiest person in the game right now. She takes a lot of damage. She doesn't have enough area control to deal damage and to, you know, combat two different fighters in a 2v2 scenario. Overall, I feel like she falls off when it comes to 2v2s just because she can't really self-sustain in that regard. She doesn't have a lot of projectiles to really in her favor win a fight. I just feel like it's not really there. You know, her kit's not there for 2v2s. I feel like she is definitely a lot better in 1v1s. She's just not well-rounded enough to self-sustain on a team. And with support, she doesn't really support at all. You know, that's not really her thing. Continuing in C tier, let's give it to Batman. Batman is good in projectiles. He's good in his grappling hook in 1v1s. But in 2v2s, there has been so many times that I've witnessed a Batman fling himself off of the map because of his grappling hook. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know if it's a bug. I don't know if they're going to change in the future. I would hope they do. But as it stands right now, he doesn't have anything for 2v2s. He literally doesn't have anything. His projectiles are there. His grappling hook's there. It helps out. But, I mean, if you're not flying off of the map, if you're using it correctly, it's not going to do that much. It's not going to be enough to save a stock or to harass someone to the point where they're getting killed. I mean, obviously, if you're fighting a 1v1, your combos are great. You're going to be able to harass in the air as well because of your cape. But other than that, you know, 2v2s isn't really his strong suit. I feel like in 2v2s, if someone's hitting him and he dodges and he focuses on that person and someone else comes behind him and punches him once, I mean, he's just going to be getting harassed back and forth. He has absolutely nothing to guard against 2v2s. And in that regard, I think he is C tier. My poor man. I loved Tasmanian Devil in closed beta. I love his character in the show. And I feel like in here they did a great job with including a lot of his, you know, his scuffle and his Taz tornado. I just feel like it's super good, super iconic, and I love how they did that. After they nerfed him, however, for good reason, obviously his Tasmanian tornado should not be a good focus point. They should not rely on the tornado alone to carry his character. So once they nerfed it, although it was a good change, I feel like a lot of people quickly realized that Taz does not have a lot going for him. Other than that, other than his tornado for harassing, he has absolutely nothing going for him, and they need to fix that. I feel like he's one of maybe 3 people that they should almost entirely rework his character. I feel like he could be good in support because of his chomping moves, and when he turns into a chicken, I mean, it's super good, or a turkey, I don't know what it is, I'm not a scientist, but it's super good for 2v2s, but it just takes so long to get there. It is 16 stacks of hunger to turn someone into a chicken, and it's super rare that you're going to see someone, especially Taz, get 16 hits in and have the timer and the counter up enough stacks to actually turn them into a chicken. It's not good for 2v2s at all. He needs a buff so much. I feel like this is essentially what my tier list is going to look like. After finishing it off, you know, I keep forgetting to add LeBron in here. I would give LeBron to probably A tier as well, just because in 1v1s, the exact same reason. His slam dunk is pretty good for area control. His projectiles are really good. I would reckon that he's probably somewhere at the top of A tier. He's good in 2v2s, don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's not as good at 2v2s as he is in 1v1s. It's not necessarily a bad thing, just an observation. Looking at this back, I think this is pretty good, right? I'd maybe swap, you know, one of these two off with Tom and Jerry. I feel like maybe these two are debatable, but I mean, they're just good and self-sustaining, and they're not going to get harassed that much because they have a lot of options in the air. So I feel like overall this is going to be my final definitive 2v2 tier list. If you guys have any differences, questions, comments, concerns, disagreements, agreements, any additional notes that you want to add, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to review them, to look over them, to let you know my comments. You know, this isn't anything super crazy. I'm not a spokesperson for Warner Brothers, so just leave me a comment below. Be like, yo, you know, you put blah 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 in whatever tier. Feel like they should be in blah 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 tier just because of this. I'll be like, yeah, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe I'll even agree with you. Just let me know in the comments below. As long as you come respectfully, like I said, I'll be more than happy to, you know, banter with y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is King Quad. Hope you're having an amazing day again. Thank you all so much for all the content support. I really do appreciate it. Let me know how you guys feel about this. This is, like I said, my own perspective from 2v2s. And yesterday, I also want to point out we just hit 1,600 subscribers yesterday, and we're already almost at 1,700. So if we get to 1,700 by next video, I will give you guys a cookie. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Stay safe. Take care. Peace. Adios. And until next time, let me know what you guys think. And adios. Have a great day. Bye-bye.